right, guys, welcome to a very special edition of the Big Papa Podcast, along with my boy G. We are interviewing two very special guests who, at this point, need no introduction, but I'll introduce them anyway. We got my man Jeff, the lead character designer from Scopely, and my man Chappy, who is taking over most of the new character design at Scopely. Guys, welcome to the PapaCast.
Hey, guys.
Thank you. Hey, what's up?
So, guys, Jeff recently did a podcast with I don't even know what you call them these days. They keep changing their names. I know they changed their name like
Vengeful
I changed my underwear, so I don't know. But it got me thinking. It's, they asked a lot of great questions, and Jeff told some great stories about, his path to becoming a character developer. And I believe it was right after the announcement of the 4-star that was coming. Well, 4-star has been here for about a week already. And some new characters are on the horizon, I'm sure. There's always rumors floating around. We got the data miners who are popping in and getting the data out there. And, of course, we can't get into details about new characters. But it led me to think, what goes on behind the scenes? What goes through the mind of the man who's responsible? Because, there's so many different characters, and there's so many different
ways to play
types,
them.
Right. There's so many different move sets and layouts, and what goes through your mind? What is the process involved in developing a character? Yeah, I think we might have lost Jeff for a minute.
Looks like it.
Oh, there he is.
Back.
All right, we got him. We got him back.
Welcome back. So
the question that I've always is, what goes through the mind? Because some characters, you take a character like Nikolai Volkov. Nikolai Volkov's a great character. He's got multiply gems. He's got the choose black. And you take another character like Macho Man, who, with that black move with the pin bar not moving, I mean, that's like a golden move. That's you could run cascade after cascade. I can't even tell you how many times in the last few that I used them, I actually got the black move to re-trigger itself by falling, and I ended up doing probably 150k damage to a poor guy who probably only had 60k health to begin with.
And that's one of a kind move also. Nobody else has it.
Yeah.
There's one other character, but I think British Bulldog.
Yeah, Bulldog has it.
Yeah.
But that's the only other one.
Right.
Nobody plays him.
Well, he actually, I've seen him at 3 stars.
He's better now.
4-star. He's actually not so bad. But
he's certainly better at 4-star.
Yeah.
No question.
So the question is, what makes you make one character one way over another? Why does this one get a choose move and this one gets a random move? Why does this one get multiply gems and this one gets botch gems? Why does this one get blast gems and this one gets heal gems?
Yep. So yeah, there's a bunch of things that go into that decision. There are the 6 different classes that we have. We try to keep a pretty decent pattern with the different types of characters that get different types of moves. So powerhouses tend to be the only ones who have blast gems. There are a couple of exceptions to that.
Right,
Vince, but generally speaking,
Sarge and Zombie
exactly.
Brock.
Yeah, I think Zombie Brock, right? So there are going to be exceptions, but in general, you'll find that heal gems tend to be on showboats and I think on some acrobats as well.
Trickster.
Right. So and
Trickster's a steel.
Right. So there's sort of that steel element with tricksters that's sort of thematic with a trickster type character. So that's sort of the first thing is what class are they? And when we try to match up class with the actual WWE Superstar, we look at what style did they have in the ring, and sort of what is their actual style now. If there's somebody that we have multiple versions of, then we will try to match up to an extent. How does that class match for Triple H, for an example, the King of Kings? That is a very showboat looking outfit, if you will. And on the other hand, the later in his career, this sort of corporate Triple H, maybe more of a striker, that sort of thing. So we have those sort of class and style based decisions that go into it.
Okay.
And then in terms of whether it's a choose or a random and that sort of thing, obviously a choose move is almost 9 times out of 10 going to be more powerful than than a random, maybe 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of trying to find, if we're trying to add like a last move to a character to kind of tie it all together, what's the move that's going to like power the engine for this character and keep the chain going? Does it need to be a choose move to make this person viable, or is it a random one going to get it done? Like, is a random one going to mean that you're only going to get there 50% of the time? Is this a character who should get there only 50% of the time because it's not Macho Man? It's a more sort of common or a superstar who wasn't like absolute top tier guy.
So like a Booker T.
Or Jim Knight.
I'm not.
Well, actually, I love Booker T.
Yeah, or Balor that has 2 randoms and still can pretty much wreck someone up.
Yeah,
Batman
and
Power,
random moves, and especially if you have like doubling up on a random move with like the same color, then you're gonna flood the board. And with the right trainer, then you're gonna that can be just as effective, if not more so, than like a choose move, right? But it's just a matter of finding a move that meshes well with the combo that we're trying to achieve. And I think Chappy would probably agree. Like that is sort of how it goes in with his designs as well.
Yeah. Excuse me, sorry. Typically, choose move is kind of, it sort of takes over the design when you add it. Typically, it becomes that is the move you're focused on, not necessarily the finisher, not necessarily whatever other kind of special gems you can create, not any way you can even particularly interact with another class or move or type of gem. That's kind of the focus. You want to maximize the damage on that, and you want to, get it out as fast as possible. So it fits well in that regard with characters who are kind of all over the place. They can do a bunch of different things. They do have character-specific, traits. Especially all of that stuff shines a lot harder at 4-star than it did at 3-star. But yeah, so we do have to be a little careful giving a choose move because otherwise, if we do, people kind of tend to just ignore everything else.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. Well, a couple of perfect examples. Until George Steele came out, I don't think I had Seth Rollins' finisher loaded for the longest time. I would run him with Lawler and Daniel Bryan, and
NXT Rollin went out the tier list the day George came out.
Yeah, it's true. So did Brock. That was kind of
Brock got released literally like right after George Steele did.
Yeah, it's right around the same time.
Brock was he was already in the meta, so it was already popping up. We already knew the moves and everything.
Right, and I knew somebody
before he was released, and we kept saying they're not going to release a green MP trainer because Brock is going to break the game. And then boom, they both get out at the same time.
And Volkov was out already, and people didn't realize how good Volkov was before Steele came out. But before Steele came out, he was all right. But a choose 6 black move, but getting to that choose 6 move was, it wasn't quick enough.
Yeah,
right. And that's sort of what the 3-star gold sort of meta became, is just quickly charge your move as fast as possible and then do maximum damage as quickly as possible.
Right.
Which to an extent is still the goal at 4-star, even when you're playing feud or something like that, you want to finish off a match.
Well, feud is all about speed. Guys,
right? Exactly.
From being in a top 2 faction for the past forever. I mean, I'm telling you, our goal is speed.
Yep, 100%. Makes perfect sense, and so that's why the tier lists are going to be, I think, generally organized around speed.
I mean, I personally don't look at tier lists. I don't need one for myself. I do spread them for new players, or on the I'm one of the moderators on the Facebook community page, and I do reference them, but it's not a Bible to me.
Sure.
Yeah, I probably give it to about 50 people per day.
That's the difference between your 7,000 subs versus my 2,000.
Yeah, I get like a slow day. I'm gonna get 200 messages.
Wow. I like the tier list as just like a resource, kind of like feeling out. It's more of like a census, I feel, than like a genuine.
That's what it is. And the guys who do the testing, the tier list, like Choli, he does a really good job. And he's not just putting it based on his opinion. He's getting feedback from other players. They're actually testing them. Thousands and thousands of health packs went into making the original execution tier list. Before execution and A&H split apart.
Yeah, and the new one, they're basically having like 7 people putting in their rank that they believe that those guys are, and then they're making an average of that, so it's even more opinion. So once that's all summed up, it's going to be a pretty accurate tier list.
It's still an average. It's an average of 7 top-notch players. It's not like some random guy who picked up the game off the street yesterday and said, "Oh, let me give you my opinion." No, these are like top players from top 5 factions who know what they're doing. A lot of respect goes out to those guys who they really put work into it. Like it's another job for them, and they enjoy doing it, which is great. I don't have the time.
They probably played more battles than I have.
Right, you test the characters as you're designing them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So let's get into design. Let's take one of the characters you have designed, Jeff, or Chappy, the one we can start with. Which one of you designed Macho Man?
That was me.
Okay, so let's talk about Macho Man, because he's I would have to say my favorite character. He really is the Macho Man. Like if you think about it, the persona, not only am I gonna hurt you, I'm gonna double hurt you with my multiply gems. And he gets that move. He's like, I'm gonna throw you on the floor, and you're just not gonna move with that black move with the pin bar not moving. And that's the whole idea. Is he would throw you around, and then you would just lie there and wait for his elbow.
Right. That's that's something that I have tried to do with a couple different characters, some with more success than others. But Macho Man, I think, was a success on that part, is like trying to recreate to an extent like the combo that you would see in a real match. And that was one thing with Goldberg, for example, trying to like hit the spear and transition into the jackknife or something like that. It's not something that he had at all really in 3-star and before, but I think that's for the combo you'd use at 4 stars. With Macho Man, he's one of my favorites of all time. I wanted to make sure that he was, his moveset was sort of worthy of him as a superstar. And, knowing that players would typically bring, an MP trainer and a gem trainer, I knew that, at least at the 3-star level, you wouldn't see too many people in feud, especially bringing like 2 different, more gem trainers.
So say like an ADR and a Rollins.
Right, exactly. I mean, generally speaking, you're gonna bring the MP to get one of the 2 moves, whatever This is like speaking when I first designed it.
Right.
And then the multiplier were just sort of like to add an extra boost to that, like whatever the move is that you're gonna use to finish them off, ideally the finisher. And like one of the first, I think it is the first character to get a finisher that is also a choose move, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
NXT Dean has a choose to destroy.
To destroy, right?
So,
but which is similar, but like in terms of a choose and then swap color.
Correct.
Was pretty unique. And then having like the don't move the pin bar, go into a finisher that's also a choose move. There's, in my mind, at least in the game right now, no one more deserving of like a double sort of combo like that than Macho Man.
I mean, I'm choosing to go with Eddie over Macho for 4-star.
Yep.
But it's a hard decision to make.
I want to go with Eddie, but mine is very far away.
Right. I mean,
2-star gold, I think.
I mean, and it's also the era that Eddie, Eddie's Attitude Era, and I already have a 4-star legend, so.
Yep. Eddie's super fun. I mean, that was the thing with him. He was another one that I designed, and I wanted that to be, when I first started doing this, I wanted the characters that I made not only to be strong and be something that you wanted, but also to be fun to use. And I think that that Eddie accomplished that too. Just in terms of how fast his moves charge. None of them individually are sort of like, a one-shot kill, but collectively they make up this combo that's fun
and with the right
opponent.
I would say with the good luck of the board, his moves recharge themselves pretty quick as well.
Especially with that shuffle.
Yeah, the shuffle's a great move, and of course Eddie has to have a steal move.
Yeah. Right.
His character is really good at. Thematically, it's super on point. He's such a troll. Like he's
you see him, like if you're going on verse and you see him come up, you just skip right to the next person. It's like,
I never face Eddie in verses.
Especially since you can't use props. I mean.
Yeah, you won't be able to do that in Invasion. You won't be able to just skip right over him.
Yeah,
it's true. He's going to be a wall.
We were supposed to get details this week. Eric was supposed to give us detail this week.
I'll have to talk to him about that.
I'll leave Eric alone. He's good at what he does most of the time.
Yes, he is.
Most of the time.
I'll tell him that.
Yeah, he'll definitely appreciate it.
I'm wondering which of you guys worked on both Hardy Boys.
We split that.
They each designed one, I believe, from what I remember.
That's right.
I believe it was Chappy that designed Jeff and Jeff that designed Matt.
That's right.
Those two are probably my favorite characters to play.
They are a ton of fun.
They are really fun.
That's cool.
That's
I'm
awesome.
glad.
That's good to hear.
That's
what happens when you have.
I brought my Matt Hardy to 4-star, and I'm not regretting it.
My Matt is it's the 4.
I know one of his moves got a little nerfed a little bit, but
oh yeah, so the area of gems.
the yellow.
In order to scale it up, it's already in order to scale it up. Change the actual shape of the area.
Right.
And
it's
sort of a long way of saying it. Right. And so when you get to max 4-star gold, it's a block 3x3, so you're doing 9 total gems.
So you're talking about like a year and a half from now when you finally release those tokens.
I have no comment on that. That's not my.
Well, according to the blog, it did say it was very far away.
Yeah. Well, gotta think ahead.
But no,
I know. Yeah.
I mean, there is that guide. What's his name? Max, you know his name. The guy who runs the guide. Oh, Painful Mercy.
Painful Mercy. Yeah.
He runs that website. I mean, his data mining is pretty on top, and it shows all the moves at 4-star gold where it goes up a little bit, and you can see the difference at 4-star gold for some of the guys.
Yeah.
And that was a mess. The guide updated like right away.
He's usually on point within 12 hours.
Yeah,
that's like we say, like when you guys say, "Oh, we really can't talk about new characters." We already know what's coming because of the guide.
Yeah,
obviously, we don't want we want the inside information. We know you can't give it to us. So,
some things have to stay secret.
Let's take the most recent new character, and that's Sergeant Slaughter. Okay,
yes,
so what was the process in designing him as a character? So tell us a little bit about the Sarge.
Okay, well,
First, why Trickster? Why he seems to me like the Sarge seems more of a striker or a powerhouse.
True. In this case, it's actually the version depicted in our game is the Triangle of Terror Sarge. Even though he's not quite dressed up that way, his bio is leaning towards that. And also,
the evil Sarge, the one that took the title from the Warrior.
Right, General Adnan and his corner and stuff like that.
That makes a little more sense.
I'm also personally of the opinion that Trickster is somewhat indicative of hardcore wrestling because it involves using foreign objects and dirty tricks kind of to get to where you lost Jeff. So. Oh no, Jeff's gone.
I'm still here. Sorry.
Oh, there you are.
We can hear you. We just can't see you.
Back.
So for Slaughter, this kind of actually goes back to I started designing characters right around Ricky Steamboat and Jake the Snake were kind of my first attempts at designing characters.
We won't talk about Jake.
Okay, not yet. You guys, you'll see one day. But oh no,
that was my response.
Drop the ball.
Yeah.
The meta was all about the 3-star, like MP trainer, more gems trainer, choose moves. So it was very defined. You're gonna have to all the best characters will kill on turn 2. So my goal when coming into this was to be like, how can I stop characters from killing you on turn 2, and hopefully without being forced to give a choose move so you can win faster. In the case of Slaughter,
so the low charge sub moves and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, some of those were also Jeff, but for example, Undertaker, his 5 yellow move that fills the bottom rows with silence gems, and that was the goal, was to slow them down. Turn 1, if you have a maxed out Enzo, you can pop that off, and they're probably not going to get the MP for like 2 or 3 turns while you're still operating. Austin had a low cost submission. Undertaker also has a low cost submission. So yeah.
And so does Flair, Slick Rick.
Yep, that was a Jeff original.
Tell us more about the Sarge. We lost track for a second.
Sorry, I did. So the point of him having his 1 MP choose silence gem move was to potentially slow your opponents down.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So if you can do that every turn and take away at least 2 MP from their best match or the match that you think they're going to take, then you can, kind of not get too far behind. Now, with his only way to generate blast gems is with his trap move. You have to force your opponent to break the traps. In testing, that actually proved there's a logic to it. You can kind of figure it out. You kind of get used to which characters choose which things. It's a little tricky, but when you do, he can also be a turn 2 killer if you can get the combo off all in the right order. I guess what I was going for, he's the Sarge. He's a real Marine sergeant, or drill instructor rather, and he blows up stuff. It was 4th of July, fireworks, all that kind of fun stuff. So basically, all the characters I'm trying to design, for the most part, are characters who won't die on the second turn if possible, and will also have some kind of interesting way to interact with the board. He's pretty complicated, so he's a little harder to use than someone, say, like Austin, who Texas Rattlesnake, who I also designed. The
Showboat one, and that's also it's an excellent character.
That's probably my favorite character that I don't have.
Oh, he's really
not
fun.
for lack of trying.
And that was sort of like,
I'll be honest, I haven't tried.
Oh, he's that's cool. He's it's sort of like if you combine 2 moves into a shoes move.
It's pretty unique. I've seen some people just set up the 9 reinforced gems, and then let them all turn to yellow, and then they destroy each other twice. It's for an 18 gem damage. I've seen people put them in between the yellow moves to get like a huge.
Oh, yep. So some of them break, and then the reinforced will
fall down together and break more. It's stuff like that. I've seen a lot of that. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it, but regardless, he's an excellent.
He
character.
looks really fun.
Oh.
So the one thing I want to say is, the AI in your game is really not that bright.
Sometimes
it's extremely predictable. So, and I'll tell you what I mean is, even if you're setting, like for me, if I'm setting up a sub move, if they put the subs, I'm going to go for the sub gems to break the sub. They're still going to go for their strongest color.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that if there's for example, if I'm fighting a striker and I'm using the Dead Man Taker, so what I typically do is I will hit my what's that move? The trap gem move.
Right. And
then do the sub to make the sub like a crazy move. And they break all my trap gems, and I gain all the health while they're being choked out.
Yeah.
When I play DDP, they always go for the cross gems.
Yeah, they really aggressively take your modified gems.
But something changed recently in the past couple of weeks, as I'm having more and more matches that the AI actually goes for a color that he doesn't even use, and he could have got a match of his color. And I've seen that like in the last week or 2. I've seen it quite a bit.
But it doesn't do that in Verse or Feud. It only does that in LTs.
Yeah, on limited tours.
Or the road.
Yeah. Because I was filming, I think it's today or yesterday, I was filming a video and I was saying, oh crap, just gave him his color. And nope, what the hell? He took something he doesn't even need.
Or when the AI has a 5 match and they don't take it.
Yeah.
There is a logic to that, and then the submission thing is something I've noticed as well. And there's no reason why they shouldn't be going after the submission gems. That's the whole point of the trying to get out of the submission move.
Right.
Right. We'd like to work on that. For example, but it is kind of unusual sometimes the way the AI prioritizes their matches, because they're, for example, a good example would be Mr. Perfect, whose ideal moveset is green, purple, purple. However, his secondary color is blue. So he will always take blue gems over purple gems if he's the AI. So it's not perfect.
And it should be.
Yeah.
And it should be. I'd like to add something where it's like...
He's another character I would, I'd like to discuss for a second, because he's considered by many to be a top technician. At 4-star, we all know everybody's saying that Doink is actually the best technician at 4-star now. Because of the fact that his moves recycle, and that's what you need at 4-star.
Right.
But Perfect, before that, was considered one of the top 2, I would say, if not top 3, behind Stardust, because of the fact that he gets, 9 randoms and then 9 chews on the second.
Right.
It's a lot of damage.
It is a lot of damage, and I was never, I refused to work on my Stardust for a long time. It was an ongoing joke between me and all of my friends in execution at the time, and it's like people would come on my streams when I was streaming during a feud or during a blitz or whatever. They'd be like, Stardust is good. I'm like, I'm sorry, who are you talking about?
I was asked a lot of time also because I took also quite a while before I leveled Stardust.
And during the power up event when I just needed places to put coins and places to put TPs, I was like, all right, fine, I'll make him gold. and then I found myself using him. I'm like, you know what? He actually is pretty freaking powerful.
Yeah.
You know what else I love using Dude Love.
Mm-hmm. He's fun.
And I even did a little a math. His yellow gem damage is more than Seth Rollins' purple gem damage.
Wow.
So
strikers.
Yeah, he's a striker.
And his 4-star move is not bad at all. It actually goes pretty well with his yellow choose move as well. I believe it's choose black to destroy.
Oh,
I think that sounds right.
So what you can do is you could put 2 yellow gems on top of the black and 2 yellow gems below the black, and then destroy the black and cause a nice little cascade.
Oh, nice.
So, and that's how I think. But
yep,
it's pretty tricky.
Well, my goal is to have 1 4-star silver in each class before I make a second 4-star bronze in each class. And I'm actually waiting for tomorrow's green TP event to make my first 4-star silver.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
Wow. Nice.
Seth Rollins?
Yes, I blew all of my diamonds on NWO belts.
He's probably going to be the first I'm going to do as well because he's the only one
I
got
at
4 full stars.
I got AJ, and I was a little disappointed in that, even though it took me over a year to finally get AJ at 3-star. And of course, a month after I finally get him at 3-star.
Oh, it's the same for me. My chase for Seth Rollins was pretty well documented. It took me 32 attempts to get him, and I got him as my full-on 4-star. I was like, really, you're kidding me. And people actually found it funny too on the comments on my video. They were like, yeah, that's for trying so hard.
I'm sure they did.
It's destiny, man.
I mean, look, AJ at 4-star, that calf crusher is actually pretty good move.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be using the calf crusher in the feud this weekend because I'll be using him for defense. So I have him set up with Bray and ZKO. So
nice. That was something that I wanted to make sure that he had at 4 stars as well. Is that we surprisingly enough, or maybe not surprising, we don't have the phenomenal forearm animation in the game yet.
Okay.
So trying to get that, I would love to add that.
That'll be his 5-star move.
But we had the calf crusher, so I was like, that makes sense. He needs that.
I mean, the phenomenal forearm, the calf crusher, and the Styles Clash. I mean, I just realized also on the Tech Randy Orton, you guys redesigned his finisher.
Yep.
You gave him the RKO.
Gave him the RKO. I think that was something that probably should have happened from the start.
Right. I mean, he has it in the Showboat version, which is really the weaker version of the two, especially now at 4-star.
Right.
Seeing Stone Cold with the $1 Million Dream instead of that still hurts a little bit. So
there's a couple of those. Yeah.
Their authentic finish.
Or actually, the DDP, the tech version that just came out.
Mm-hmm.
I love him.
When he was on the road. No, I'm saying great character. But when he was on the road, and when he was when I would fight him in blitzes before he was redesigned and came out, he didn't have a diamond cutter. But how do you call someone the master of the diamond cutter and not give him? I was baffled by it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the first tech I got to 4-star.
Oh, awesome!
I don't have a 4-star tech. I'm 1 mat short.
I got DDP right. I got Matt. After that, I made DDP.
Nice. He's really good.
Yeah. He's really fun.
Oh, cool.
And his sixth move, his new move, is actually pretty good.
It's
to
great.
Skip one turn.
I would probably run it over the finisher personally.
Yeah, that's my dilemma. I don't want to take away the Diamond Crush. Is it the one that generated the cross?
The 1 MP move.
Cross jam. Yeah, the one. I don't want to get this one away for sure. then it means you got to get rid of the finisher instead to get that move in. But the finisher does 50k damage, so it's a pretty tough choice. It's probably I'm probably gonna be using it in some situation. Like I'll probably be using it for the feud, for instance, the skip turn, things like that.
Makes sense. There was a 3-star. His finisher, since it did flat, I kind of wanted to finish it. Did flat damage. I think that was the first character I designed who had that.
I don't like those. That's the one thing I don't like. I do not like a flat damage. Like a guy like Cena, a guy like Daniel Bryan.
Mm-hmm. I understand. I felt like it really did the impact. I mean, that was the diamond cutter. It was like, the original RKO, the cutter.
Right.
Like it felt like very final, and I kind of just really liked it that way. But in calculating the damage, it was actually the highest damaging no effect finisher in the game, except for the diamond cutter. Except for believe it or not, Y2J's submission total did slightly more damage. Yeah. But otherwise, that was
which Y2J, the
list
tech.
No,
tech.
Okay.
But anyway, that was how it came to be.
I mean, that's one thing. Like, so we have the choose moves, or the move that set up the finishers, and like Jeff was saying, how with Macho Man, he really wanted to like put out Macho Man's persona, which is why he got the choose move with the finisher as well, which is another unique characteristic of Macho Man. So what makes you guys decide like what goes into the finisher as well? So if you take a guy like Arn Anderson gets all those botch gems and then gets a bonus for every botch gem. But then you take a guy like Bret Hart's damage for every botch gem is triple Arn Anderson's.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the difference there? Especially since Tricksters is supposed to be better than Tex.
Yep. So when I did Arn Anderson, and what I was trying to do with him was, and knowing that he was going to be a character that went out to everybody, I was trying to make botch gems be something that was more useful. Just trying to make botch gems more viable in general. And I thought
I'll be honest, before him, I couldn't stand them.
Yeah, for sure. And the idea was, obviously, if you put bonus damage on anything, on a finisher, bonus damage for whatever gem, that makes them useful in that sense. But I was trying to make them useful in the other sense, which is like, can't kick out of a finisher, can't do a big amount of damage if you botch half the board, that sort of thing. And I figured that was the issue, was like not having enough of them. If you can only place like 4 botch gems, then they're not very meaningful at all. Yeah. So giving him more botch gems to create, and then making him the trainer that makes even more botch gems for those other guys like Hart or Gold Dust.
My favorite.
Right. And then making them that a much more viable build. I just thought that botch gems were way too low in terms of the number they were created. But since Arn was getting so many, and of course in part because he was a character that everybody was getting, and like there's a sort
you could say free.
It's a free character, but there's a calculus in it. Like, if everybody in the game has a god tier character, then all of a sudden it's not as interesting anymore to have like something to try to shoot for and that sort of thing. So that played into sort of the amount of bonus damage that he did per botch gem, because he was creating more than other guys were just on his base character, not taking into
account. But now with him as a trainer, Bret Hart's creating just as many.
Yep, right. But Bret Hart.
He's still Bret Hart.
He's still Bret Hart. Right.
He's the
best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
That's right.
And he's much more viable at 4-star.
Yep.
Yeah, that definitely gave him a second life.
Well, now you could do, that choose move will get you to the green moves, to the finisher at least.
Yeah.
And I think both Bret Harts both ended up being. I
haven't seen the Trickster's 4-star.
Trickster Hart actually is one of my picks for one of the better characters in the new 4-star metagame.
I have Trickster Hart at full 3-star, but still
nice.
Level 1.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
understandable. I believe his 6th move is a choose move, and so he's got 1 choose move, 1 random into purple move, and then a purple submission. So it charges up pretty quickly and not too difficult to kind of recycle. So I feel like he's very strong.
But I have Seth Rollins.
Yeah, true.
So It's funny because the reason I had Bret Hart at the full 3-star was I had his Seth Rollins luck when I was trying to pull Sting, and I was trying to pull for Sting, and I pulled Bret Hart.
I think I got him trying to go for Mr. Perfect.
And I can tell you, Baron Corbin, who is also still level 1, I have pulled him at 3-star 5 times.
Oh wow!
And I got him 3 stars a feud prize.
He's also pretty.
Right, at 4-star, he's actually pretty.
Yeah.
So he may be one of my products, considering I have enough duplicates of him to.
Yeah, Corbin is pretty good now.
Yeah.
Ever since you got Matt Hardy, that gave him quite a new life.
It was a mega, not the coin mega. It was about a month ago, right before the Power Up event. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do a certain number of pulls. If I don't get AJ, it's just never meant to be. So first I did a 30 pull, and I got Corbin.
Yeah.
I was like, oh great.
Yeah, Matt Hardy pretty much gave a second life to Corbin and Anvil.
Right. That was the 4th time I pulled Corbin. Then I just started doing random 4 pulls. I pulled Corbin again on the same day. Then finally I pulled AJ.
Nice.
And I sent it to Max. I was like, I can't believe it. I finally, he's like, on a 4 pull of all things too.
That's awesome.
It's the magic of the 4 pull.
Yeah. So I'm lucky about it. I don't know.
So I know you can't talk about new characters that are coming out, but at WrestleMania, when Max and I went to New Orleans, we met with Eric and we met with John, and we were given some information about some new characters that will be coming into the game. So I know that they're not in the game yet. They're not even in the data yet, because if they were in the data, we would know about it. But we were told that a Woken version of Matt Hardy was to be coming to the game, as well as Akira Tozawa, which we do see a preliminary design is actually in the system already.
Yeah. Elias,
the Usos.
The Usos, yeah. And who was
we were given verbal word from John that the natural disasters were coming to the game.
Gallagher.
Cool.
Jack Gallagher. So is there anything you can tell us about those characters without giving too much away?
So I'll say that we have the actual body creation, the actual characters built out,
rendered.
Right, and rendered. We don't have the actual moves designed for any of them yet.
Okay.
They haven't been assigned. Some of them have been assigned classes.
They may change, but for the most part, we've got a decent idea of classes for a couple of them.
Right.
Okay.
Like for just as an example, we have penciled in Tozawa as an acrobat.
That just makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Right. Penciled in Elias as a showboat, which makes sense, but I
see. Everybody thought he'd be a trickster.
That's one that
I always says he was going to be a showboat.
Yeah. So and like Chappy just said,
but he could be a powerhouse or a striker too. I know.
In fact, sorry.
It's just one of those things that just coming out with the guitar wearing he wears, just he has a lot of the aspects of a
ego. He's definitely got a showboat ego. Yeah.
Right. But it's one of those calls that's
tough.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, like technician and trickster and showboat, they're pretty broad terms, and any a lot of superstars could be any one of those at any given time. But
I wouldn't exactly call a guy like Roman Reigns a technician.
Big Show's probably not an acrobat.
Yeah.
Neither is Seth Rollins.
Months ago when there was the Enzo saga, I was saying they should just get rid of Enzo in the game and just reskin him as Elias. Gonna be a showboat, already moves everything, and you get rid of Enzo in the game as well, without everyone losing their basically hard time and cash on it.
And I lose my 3 extra heel gems.
Enzo's got a successful rapping career now, so he's still very
he's back in the spotlight.
All right, so we got. I would assume a guy like Jack Gallagher would also be either an acro or a tech.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was leaning. I was leaning more toward tech.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, most of the cruiserweights, they're either going to be acros or techs. There's nowhere. You're not going to find maybe a striker, maybe. Because I know you have what's his name? X-Pac, whatever you call him. He was in as Yeah, he's in there as the NWO version is in there as a striker.
Mhm.
So
That's right.
we've
He
seen him
actually
in
is a
like some.
back effect.
No, there are also several characters that we've seen in the game that are not available, like that have never been available as a mega superstar. And I'm talking about guys like
All
DX,
the DXs.
DX guys. Any word on when those guys are going to be, even if either redesigned or maybe just worked on a little bit, or even just released?
Because they seem to have moves already since we faced them.
Yeah, they have old designs that I honestly haven't even looked at. Those are characters that were. Yeah, they were released in soft launch when we were in, I think Australia and Canada and a couple other countries.
Kind of like the Trickster Andre.
Yeah, right. So those are ones we don't have a scheduled release date for those yet, but they're ones that I'm really excited about, and I would love to do. This is not something I'm in charge of, but I would love to do a DX event. I would love to do an NWO
similar
event.
to like the Zombies or the Arn Anderson or the December 2000. Right,
like you give one of them free and you earn the others, or you buy the others.
Yeah, and again, that's not our area, but that's something I would love to see.
So this is something that's your area that I'm about to ask you about.
Yep.
And the cat's kind of been let out of the bag by first by Asuka, and then by somebody in production who Max and I both speak. We won't mention names so we don't get them in trouble. But women are apparently coming to the game. So
that's maybe.
Interesting.
It might be.
So see, a myth is something that's not going to be true. What can you, without obviously giving away too much, what can you tell us about that? Because there was actually a contest on Discord over who are going to be the first 10 women. So we know they're coming.
Yeah.
Well, I think generally I'll let Chappy expand on this, but I think that if we were to add female superstars in the game, hypothetically, I would love to see that as soon as possible. I'd love to see that in the game.
Maybe around SummerSlam time.
That sounds good to me. I'd have to ask the rest of the team.
That would
hypothetically speaking.
If I can push the button, I would love to make that happen.
No, so hypothetically speaking, women come to the game. What does that look like in the game? Do women fight men? Do women have a separate division?
Well, I mean, in our conversations that we have had in the past over
your hypothetical conversations.
Hypothetical, if we were to bring women into the game, that's actually been a pretty hot button issue. Like, should they be fighting men? Should they be fighting against each other exclusively? Should they be able to be on the same team? Should they even be in the same arena? That kind of thing.
Would they have their own separate classes, or would they still be like Showboat's techs, stuff like that?
Right.
Mixed tag match.
I will say, in our hypothetical discussions, all these things were considered and discussed. I can't say if any final decisions were made, but these things are being thought about is basically all I can say.
I mean, imagine putting Michelle McCool in the game, for example, and then having her go up against The Undertaker. And then have The Undertaker choke her out. I mean, that's domestic violence written all over it.
So I think that you'll find that WWE has changed in terms of how they have had female superstars in the ring and how they've interacted with male superstars in different ways. And I think that if we put female superstars into the game, that their interaction in the game will sort of match sort of that progression and how big of a part female superstars are in the WWE universe now, as well as the types of matches that they engage in now.
Yeah, like Asuka and Ellsworth last week, they faced.
I don't know about I don't know about Ellsworth. We don't have him in the game, but
please don't ever put him in the game.
Yeah.
All 1 MP submission moves, just a troll.
April Fool's joke.
They do like 4 damage.
Yeah, last one turn.
Right. Yeah.
We gotta last at least 2 to drain some MP.
Yeah, true. 3 moves that damage to self.
Yeah, so that's another one. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. What's up with those moves where guys actually do damage to themselves? Yeah, there's only 2 guys in the game that have it.
Yeah, I mean, thematically, the Brock moonsault, pretty famous. Botch, unfortunately, left him injured, so kind of kept that in the game.
Yeah, with the shooting
Okay, but
star.
what about
shooting
Jeff,
star? Sorry.
How many times did Jeff Hardy get up from the Swanton bomb holding his stomach?
But he got up every time.
Okay. All right.
He's also not jumping off of like a 20-foot tall ladder in our game. He's jumping off the top turnbuckle.
But yeah,
So.
a little swanton.
You know,
Like the thing is, to me, that makes the shooting star press not usable. Like,
especially at 4-star, because you eat and drain those health packs so fast at 4-star. It's 20 health pack at VIP 10 to heal a guy.
I think with Brock, we knew that that he was going to be way more than just viable with
or without that move.
Combo.
So you left it
with or without.
So it's kind of like a troll move, basically.
It's maybe a troll move. It's a little like nod to a fun thing that happened, in real WWE. With Shane, that's a little different, but the animation, they're so cool. He's jumping off such a high.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite animation in the game is Leap of Faith.
Yeah, me too.
It's the coolest looking animation.
It is. It's an amazing animation. Some of the animations, I gotta say, are a little annoying. Like King of Kings with his
sledgehammer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I avoid that move at all costs if I can, but it's kind of hard.
Just because it
kind of hard to get through hard
so
mode.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can't get through hard mode without using it, but I get through the entire normal mode of the weekly tour without using it.
Yeah, the certain ones, the superplex, no matter who's doing it, always takes a little longer than some of the other animations.
Especially Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Oh my god, his is even like I've set up the superplex, gone, made a cup of coffee, came back, and still had it going on.
Came back and showed some moves.
The one thing I'll say with like King of Kings, what we were trying to accomplish, and I know that animation, it does go a little bit long, and I agree. I think we could cut it down a little bit, but adding a little bit of flavor to the end of the move and just seeing that sort of celebration, if you will.
He's a showboat, so
right. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. It just I know that when he does this, I know that the powerhouse Triple H has the same move, and it's not as long.
Mm. So, yep. Just a different animation.
Yeah. Pass it along.
Thanks. Also, more health packs would be great. Like Max said, 20 health packs.
I'm draining that.
I'm under 4,000 for the first time in like.
I'm down to 1,600.
I'm at 39. I was at 39.50.
How much of that would you say is 4 stars versus feud, or is it entirely 4 stars related?
I just think the fact that no, it's not 4-star related at all. I think just the fact that I've been using so much of it, like 3 gauntlet blitzes and 3 feud, or 4. There were 4 blitzes during the power up event.
It's gonna be nasty this weekend with a 48-hour feud of 4-star. We're gonna drain the health packs.
And the truth is, I get most of my health packs from the blue and white faction bags, and we don't get as many of those when you guys don't release new characters.
Yeah.
So
makes sense. It's something health pack consumption and sort of sourcing, if you will, is something we will be keeping a very close eye on.
It got better. It definitely had gotten better when you guys changed the free bag to have health packs in it every 6 hours, and the expeditions definitely help. Getting those from the swag store. But.
Yeah, I think it benefits nobody if no one can play the game because they're out of health. So
we're definitely keeping an eye on distribution and the rates at which health packs are being consumed. It's a little bit of a learning process, but we think we've got a decent.
It's going to be a good test this weekend.
I have a decent stock. Don't get me wrong, because for the longest time I used nobody but Enzo for anything. So I was getting health packs, but I wasn't using them.
Mm-hmm.
Now I use Eddie for everything, so I use my 1 health pack a day that I have to use to get my mission done.
I use Kalisto for everything because I want max loot.
If I wanted max loot, I would use $1 Million Man. But.
Yeah, well, I don't have him.
$1 Million Man got a move that if you have Vince, makes him pretty. Yeah, so that's a pretty interesting combination as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, it pains me to use my mats to make him gold just to get that extra loot gem. It would pain me even more to make him 4-star. He's literally just a guy I use to get loot gems. Like he's not usable in feud. He's not usable in blitz. You can't even use him on hard mode of a tour.
Yeah. Well, what we were going for with
you can use him on hard mode. You can't really use him on hell.
Yeah, we're trying to make him a farm because he's primarily a farming character, right? I mean, that's
He really is.
his
Him and
strength is.
IRS mostly.
Right, and this was something that would make him at 4 stars at least like a little more at least than just a farming character. Like, he can beat like a good deal of characters with that move equipped at least. With Vince on him as well, makes him even stronger.
So what, you use IRS and Vince?
Yeah.
But then he slows down significantly.
Right. At 4 stars, it depends
yeah.
on the game mode, but it's not as the speed. If it's not feud, then the speed doesn't matter.
I mean, feud, yeah. But I also find that if you're not using that MP trainer, like especially like when I was doing the beta testing on the 4 stars, I tried using guys without the MP trainers. The problem is every character in AI had an MP trainer.
Yeah.
Right.
So they get off their big move before you get a chance to.
Right. So it kind of like skewed the fact that I was trying to do it without it. So I had to go back to using.
In a lot of those cases at 4 star, you know, they get their combo at the exact same rate as they did at 3 star, and then you kick out and they have no MP and they're done. And I feel like MP trainers are still strong. There's no question about it. But I definitely think they're not necessary, or they may not end up.
I mean, listen, for certain guys, they're still necessary. You want to still get your moves off. Like with a guy like Eddie Guerrero, you want to get that sub move off on the second turn.
Yeah. He's a specific example where
a guy like Seth Rollins, you want to get that, you know, especially if you're using him on defense, you want to get that choose move off on the first turn because you want people to not want to attack you.
I guess
when
so.
it comes to verse defense.
And there's character you don't really like. DDP is a good example. With a 1-turn cross gem, you can easily be able to use and break that one on the first turn already and actually get your mana anyway.
If you in his case, right, you want to do the combo.
Do you know who I realized? I was thinking about the guys who have the skip turn moves. Those are the guys who are really going to be big players in 4 star.
Mm-hmm.
So your guys like DDP now has a skip turn move.
Strong.
And at gold, it's a 2-turn right now on the data for gold.
DDP, not DDP, Bam Bam, who has already has 2-turn skip.
Yeah, Bam Bam.
Zombie Austin with the 2-turn skip. You know, those guys they're very.
I think Farouk, right, Chappy?
Yeah.
Farouk with the
will
trap
probably end
gems.
up
With the
being
trap
really
gems,
strong.
yeah. Farouk's an interesting character. I have to say
Yeah.
it's a very interesting design.
Thanks.
With,
For him and Slaughter, I was trying to make it so that traps felt like that you were actually being trapped, or like, you know.
What I like about a guy like Farouk, or a guy like Seth Rollins, or a guy like Eddie now, or you know, or Doink even now with the submission move, and then AJ with his calf crusher, is I like guys that have multiple builds. Like you know, I could still do the Woods and Christian build on AJ, or I could switch it now to Zombie, you know, ZKO and Bray, you know, and as it is, if I remember correctly, at level 11 it does like 7K per turn his submission. Like his submission is no joke.
Yeah,
Lasts a while too.
That's something that definitely, I think in both of our designs we've been trying to shoot for is like, I mean, you get at 4 stars, you get 6 moves, and we don't want you just to use 3 of them. That's not super fun. It's fun to think about, especially if we can get to the point where you're coming into every match thinking like, what's the best move, you know, loadout for that.
So
match.
let's take a guy like Seth Rollins, who's I'm gonna keep referencing him. To me, he's the most versatile character in the game. Always has been and always will be. You could go the old-fashioned route, run him with the 2 blue moves and the 6 charge green move. You could run the 2 green moves and his low charge purple move. You could, I mean, he has so many different builds you can use him with. It's great. It's like, okay, today I feel like running him green, green, purple, and I'm gonna do that. Oh, today I feel like running him green, purple, purple. I'm gonna do that.
That's actually Jeff encouraged me to think about things that way as well. Like Taker ended up being a really good example.
He is. I mean,
but that was Jeff kind of was like, hey, think about this when you're doing your design. And
I just wish his second yellow move gave you a little more purple gem. That's the only thing.
Yeah, it's difficult to do that without like giving someone a free wild card, but you know, there's some room for growth at 4 star as well.
Once you see a guy like Macho Man with that black move where you don't move the pin bar, all of a sudden you're like, I wish more guys had this.
Yeah.
But you know it has to be like a unique special move to a guy like Macho.
Right.
Right.
You know, like if Matt Hardy had that on his green move,
Yeah, I mean it's such a
he'd be
powerful
unstoppable.
effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not moving the pin bar is like, once you put that on a move, that's like some serious business. So
That's one move that's going to be part of every possible move sets you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's true.
The funny thing is, I didn't even realize, like when I was first looking at the Macho Man's moves, and I was talking with Mark Little C about it, and we were looking at the character, and we were both. He's like, "This guy looks like garbage." That's what he said to me. He's like, "This guy looks like garbage." I'm like, "Mark, you don't understand. He's not garbage." He's like, "Prove me wrong." I said, "Look at those moves. Look at the description of the pie chart. The pin will not move." He goes, "So what does that mean?" I said, "That means you could blow up the whole board, and it's still your turn.
And no early pins.
No early pins." And like that's the biggest problem with guys like Vince, guys like Doink, is the early pins.
Yep.
They're not turn two because of the fact that they're getting into that early pin.
I think that's until you actually use a character, or at least see him as an opponent, you don't get a real sense of how he's. You could see him on paper, and you can kind of envision how it's going to work. And a lot of times you'll get it close, but sometimes you really got to use him to see it. Or at least
I've lost my fair share of matches with Macho Man as well. He's not the perfect character.
Right.
I've gotten all of my moves off, and then they still kicked out, and I'm like sitting there with no.
And then you got nothing.
And you got nothing. So it happens, with the best of the characters.
Sure.
Except Seth Rollins.
It really, honestly, like Seth Rollins, because of that low charge choose move, I've had it recharge itself so many times just by placing the purple gems properly and have the green gems fall, and then the shuffle move gets me green gems. And of course now at 4-star where the shuffle move is like 24,000 damage.
Yeah.
He's still real strong.
He's a great character.
It's not a bad thing. He's real strong.
Oh yeah.
But I did notice a lot of the top tier guys, like Stardust, is not really that viable at 4-star anymore. I mean, he still has his shoes move. He's still pretty powerful, but if they kick out, he's done.
Yeah. So I think, in my opinion, he's still very viable. I don't know that he's still like as strong relative to everybody else at the 3-star level.
He's not godly anymore.
Right. And part of that is like other guys getting stronger and that sort of thing. One thing that I wanted to reestablish at the 4-star level is kind of an internal tier list, at least, that matched just how huge these guys were in their time. And trying to make sure that
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, trying to make sure that Macho Man is Macho Man, trying to make sure that Stone Cold is Stone Cold, that Goldberg is Goldberg.
Yeah, making Goldberg.
All right, so actually, so a little bit of feedback on 4-stars that I've gotten on my YouTube channel, and I'm sure Max has gotten some of the similar feedback, and as well as on the Facebook community page, and I've seen it on Twitter as well. Is one of the, I don't even want to call it negative feedback, or just one of the things that we're seeing around is people say that the way that you guys just took guys to make them better was, okay, we're just going to throw on a choose move. So, for example, like a Mark Henry, like the ongoing joke for years is that Mark Henry is like so unusable, and so many people were so pissed off that we even had to, look at him, let alone take him to 3-star for this last event. And then like now he has a choose move at 4-star.
Right.
And he's really good now.
He's really good now. But like a guy like Goldberg was, in my opinion, unusable before 4-star.
Yeah.
Right.
And now he's very viable with his choose move. Or a guy like Sheik, you gave him it's not a choose gem move, you gave him a choose blast gem. It's still a choose move, if you think about it. You're placing them where you want them.
Yep.
I think I can speak a little bit on that. Is that you can only get one more move.
Correct.
So to take a character like Goldberg, and if you wanted, aside from completely redesigning the entire character, which we were going to be doing in some cases, what can you do with one move that makes this character playable? And a lot of time it's a choose move, because you can't.
They're so unplayable.
Messing around to mess around. If you could alter a second move, or maybe change MP costs around or something, but that's people have already made investments or haven't made investments and stuff, and it's really tricky tinkering with stuff that people have already become so familiar with and or even spent on. Okay. So In a case like that, you can only get one more move, and choose moves are good.
And think about Luke Harper just as a quick example, just because initially he had a choose move, and to try to make it more viable, he ended up being very overpowered, sort of relative to where we wanted him on the
overpowered or overpowering.
Overpowered at 4 stars.
Yeah, so he was the first one dropped on the first update after the beta.
So he wasn't winning matches.
No. I mean, OP in the sense he is overpowering. Yeah.
Okay.
Like he is winning way higher rate than we expected.
He should be.
So we changed it to a random red move that significantly affected how he plays. And I think Chappy hit the nail on the head for certain guys. Like if you have one move to work with to make them viable, then it kind of has to be, at least if not a choose move, then something that will make a match for you and get it done. And I think it's a fair critique to be clear. And I think that there might have been some where it could have been a little more interesting, maybe something with like change an area of gems into something like a Matt Hardy kind of thing. But then again, we were dealing with 150 different characters and taking one at a time and being like, how do we make Sting Striker more viable?
And he is pretty viable now with the green.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still green, but it's...
There's not a lot of them that are not viable. They almost, except Junkyard Dog, but like there's not that many of them that you can't do anything anymore with them.
So now this is a question that I've seen posted in my faction's Discord. I've seen it come on the Facebook page, and I've asked Eric, and he didn't really know the answer. Jeff, you and I actually discussed this question. So let's take 4 characters, and I'm just naming 4 random characters. Let's take the Ultimate Warrior. We'll take Seth Rollins. We'll take Finn Balor, and we'll take Daniel Bryan. Maxed out 3-star gold. Daniel Bryan is 76.19. Finn Balor is 77.78. Seth Rollins is 79.02. And Ultimate Warrior is 80.80.
Yep.
And they all have the same health. So there's no difference. So what is the purpose of the difference in talents?
So I think that's a relic of an old design that was implemented before my time on the project, quite frankly. Those are sort of internal, there's an internal sort of tiering system for different characters that gets assigned when you first create one. So we still have control over that, in fact. Like, if we create Elias, we have a choice of making him the same tier as an 80-80, that sort of thing. And his stats will scale the same way. He'll end up having that same amount. And I actually don't know what the original intent of that was, but it's functionality that we still have. Ultimately, it doesn't, like you said, make a big difference in how they play. It ends up just being a visual representation of like a different talent.
Well, it does make a difference in a sense of how many coins it'll cost me now to make the guy 5K as his trainer.
That's a fair point. Yeah, that wasn't the intent of the design. I don't like that design choice was made before trainers were even a
right. So, for example, a guy like Titus or a guy like Darren Young, if you only have him at a single solid star, you're not getting to 5K without making him 3-star gold.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right. Part of it in those cases, since those guys are, they were in a lot of the free bags, and you earn their posters on the road and stuff. There was a reason to scale them down a little bit.
No, and I get that, but now it's like, well, I can't get them to 5K unless I have 2 solid stars or I make them 3-star gold.
Right.
And like, I don't know too many people that want to have a 3-star gold Titus O'Neil.
No, it's true. Yeah, that's just kind of an unforeseen consequence of a legacy design.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a pre-trainer player. So I started before trainers, and when trainers came out, I was like, this game sucks now. They just broke the game. And I stuck with it because I was like, all right, you know what? Let's see how it goes. And now I'm like, and now 4 stars are here. And I honestly was one of the believers that we were never going to see 4 stars.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, all right, we're never going to see 4 stars, especially since I heard it from Eric and John that we were never going to see 4 stars. They really got me good on that one.
Tricky.
I was really a believer that there was nothing at 4 stars, and
I thought we were more farther away from them.
You know, 4 stars are here. Obviously, I don't think 5 stars are coming anytime soon.
I don't think 4-star gold is coming soon.
Well, yeah, I mean, we got to the point where a lot of players had a lot of 3-star golds, and
I mean, I have over 30, almost 40.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, when you get to that point, you know, I think you were mentioning maybe before we started that you had some characters that you're not that interested in leveling up, but you have extra resources for. I mean, rather than have you in that position, I think it's better to have like, okay, you can actually finally add to the progression of the characters you enjoy using.
Right. I mean, it's still now getting those 4-star silver tokens and the 3-star, 4-star gold tokens. 3-star gold tokens are I like.
Right now, my main limitation for using some of my roster is actually the fact that you can only use a trainer on one guy. I spend a lot of coins moving trainers around.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like every good character in the game needs George Steele.
Yeah, everyone that I use on a daily basis, they all use Steel. Like, I use Callisto for everything. I use TUF, that now less with Steel, but like if I use my Brock, I need Steel. If I want to do the Triple H tour, I gotta use Steel.
Yep. And we're looking into ways to either I don't know in terms of like necessarily making trainers train different characters, but at least more ways to add that some similar functionality so that you don't have to be doing that all the time. We've been talking about that internally. So
I mean, there was a survey that came a while back and said, you know, if you could see one of the following options in the game, which one would it be? And one of them was to allow, and it was for VIP. It was a VIP survey. Like, so, you know, could you use trainers on more than one guy?
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the functionality isn't quite there yet. It would take you know, some work, but it is something, again, it's being discussed. It's we like to try to make the flow of the game feel as comfortable as possible, something our UI, you know, people are really into, and we know that's like, you know, it doesn't feel that great all the time.
Yeah, like not releasing a 3rd trainer slot that people keep asking. I keep saying if you're ever to release a 3rd slot, you pretty much gotta limit. Like 1st slot can only be like an MP trainer. 2nd slot can only be like a guy that boosts your amount of gem. 3rd slot gotta be a guy that boosts move damage. Basically, gotta limit what slots can do, because otherwise you can get some pretty crazy builds.
I mean, can you imagine having Volkov with Steel, Hardy, and Titus?
Yeah.
Well, so I don't know that you'll see that, but SummerSlam, I think, might answer some of those questions. Right around SummerSlam,
which is 1 month from today.
It's right on, just after my birthday.
just before my birthday.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but you know, that was one of the decisions in going to 4 stars. Is like, do we unlock a 3rd trainer slot? And it clearly was a no very early on, just from a design perspective.
I mean, the thing is, here's the thing: you guys are smart programmers. I don't care what anybody says. You guys prepare for the future. So the whole thing with putting the slot for Hell mode when you originally started, knowing that there was eventually a plan to do Hell mode, it was smart in the sense that the programming was there and it was done, and you really could just slide Hell mode in when it was ready.
You know.
And the same thing with the 3rd trainer slot. You have it slid in there, you have it locked. When you're ready to open it, the coding is a lot easier. I mean, from people who've done coding, people who know things, it's very smart. Unfortunately, you have a lot of people out there who are not patient, who don't realize that you guys are planning the future, and they say, "Oh, when is Hell mode come?" I could, if you would have gone on anything posted on Twitter for a year before Hell Mode came out, saying, when is Hell Mode coming? When are we getting Hell Mode? When are we getting Hell Mode? When are we getting Hell Mode? Now it's like, when trainers first open, when are we getting the third trainer? When are we getting the third trainer? And it also made sense. If you think about it, at 1 star, there's no trainer. At 2 stars, you get 1 trainer. 3 stars, you get 2 trainers. So it made perfect sense that the progression would be at 4 stars, you get a third trainer.
And one thing you could do, you could make the third trainer the females. You bring them on and you put some special skill for trainer and you put them as like manager or
interesting.
So here's my question, and this is actually a trainer-based question, and maybe you guys can help me with this. Do trainer effects of tag team partners help? For example, if I have Lex Luger on IRS, and I team IRS with DiBiase, and DiBiase is my first guy going in, do I still have that extra 200% chance of loot gems on the initial gem board?
As far as I know, you should not. As far as I know, the active superstar will apply always. So
that's my understanding as well.
Yeah.
Just in the sense of like an MP trainer on another guy shouldn't.
No, I mean that makes sense because that's a trainer, but that's not a board specific trainer. You see what I'm saying? Like that says that the initial gem board will have an extra you have a 200% chance for more loot gems.
So it's when the game loads, basically.
Right. It's like for that character, like if that character is being used, then the initial.
So like board. I use like a 2-star level 1 guy as my tag team partner for Seth Rollins and Verse because I want to get more XP when I fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I put Dead Man Taker on the guy as a trainer, and I've been finding more purple gems on the board at the start.
You said you didn't?
Possible.
I have been.
Oh, you have. So yeah, I mean, you've been.
If that's the case, I did not know it worked that way, but I mean, I was under the impression it didn't. But
you never know. I mean, the truth is, it could just be luck of the draw. Because there are times where I'll open the game, I'll start the match and there's 1 purple gem on the board, and there'll be times I start the match and it seems like every gem is a purple gem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something that like when I was
it's
first
an RNG.
testing that
it's
out,
a complete RNG.
I was literally counting over time a pretty big number of them, with and without, and finding the difference just to make sure that the functionality was there. But it's a pretty meaningful difference. But it's not a guaranteed thing. It doesn't mean that like this many more appear every time on the board. It's very chance based, right?
Right.
So
it's like rolling a dice.
There's still the chance.
As soon as the game starts, you roll a die, and whatever number shows up, that's how many purple gems extra you get. Could be 1,
Well, it's up to 75% more, but 75% more of what?
Well, and the other component of it that makes it kind of difficult, and this is more like behind the scenes stuff, is that you can't start the gem board. At least one of the rules that we have in the game is that you can't start the gem board with a match. So you have to make sure that there are no 3 or more matches when the first board drops, right?
Right,
so
then it would be automatic damage.
Right. So it has to sort of calculate, the game has to calculate, like, where do we place all of these gems right off the bat to avoid any sort of a match, but then also change the weights of the different gem types based on any sort of rules that we have applied to this, whether it's a stipulation match that creates more red gems or whether it's a trainer that gives you more red gems or whatever for the start of the match. Right. So that's sort of the back end kind of stuff with the game.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I mean, it's really cool of you guys to come on here. It's I know you guys are very busy over there. It's almost 10 o'clock at night here in New York. So.
Yeah, well, thank you guys very much for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate the questions. It was cool. This is the first thing like this that I've ever really done, so it's been fun. Thank you.
All right, so I want to thank you guys for coming on. We really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us and answer some really some questions that have been searching through the minds of a lot of people lately,
and especially with everything you have going on right now, with pretty much all the new stuff coming in the next month. Pretty busy
we don't
month.
know what's coming, but we definitely know stuff is coming. So
yeah,
SummerSlam.
Chappy knows a lot about SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be in New York for SummerSlam?
I will not be.
Yeah.
I will actually be in France.
But SummerSlam's in New York.
I know. I'll have to find a French bar somewhere near the German border. Yeah.
Well, just bring your iPad with you. You can watch it on the network.
That's true.
For
Yeah.
only
I'm not sure about
$9.99.
any That's true. Nice plug.
Yeah. That's sponsorship. That's awesome.
All right, guys. So if you're not already a sub on either mine or Max's channels, go ahead and subscribe to one of our channels. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and again, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Chappy, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks,
It's
guys.
been real fun.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Thank
It's been
you.
great.
Papa out.
All right, G out.
Peace,
Ciao.
folks.